Masterminds. Hello, it is May already. I can't believe Memorial Day is basically here. Um, as they say, time flies when you're having fun. For those of you who are new to Membership Masterminds, if this is your first time, go ahead and put that in the chat. For those of you who are returning, go ahead and put that in the chat as well. Just say like returner or newbie. I want to know. Marissa, welcome. Um, Wow, veteran. Jeff is a veteran. You're right. Returner, Dave. Yeah, and for those of you who are coming back, you might see a familiar face in the room. So Dave's joined us for today. Uh, this is going to be a good chat around de data.
I've
Uh,
been gone. I was part of the original, I don't know, like five or six. We've been doing this now for like over a year, I think, 2 years maybe.
Almost two.
And I think I was super involved in the first five or six, and then I just fell out of the pattern and I missed them. And Brittany does such a good job of these. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Dave Will. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Prop Fuel. And um, can I, Brittany, just for a second? I want to because I'm thinking about it, I just want to talk about the origin of this.
Yeah.
We were very involved with ASAE and starting membership Mondays. And over time that turned into just something different that ASAE was running. And we wanted to come back to getting people just talking about things, all things membership. And because we dig it, like it's just we live this every day, membership stuff, and we just want to hear and participate in the conversation. And this isn't necessarily, it's not that prop fuel never comes up in here, but it's not designed to be a place for us to pitch prop fuel like we do in our webinars or our workshops. Like that's where we go to pitch prop fuel. But here, it's just a chance to, and this is why Brittany says this is really for you guys. It's about the topics and giving you guys the voice. And we like to listen in and
Yeah.
participate.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. And then on my end too, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Brittany. I'm the senior marketing manager at Prop Fuel. I love these conversations because before starting at Prop Fuel, I was in a membership and marketing role in healthcare associations in the Chicagoland area for about 9 to 10 years. So this brings me back to my glory days, so to speak. Before we get started, I would love for everyone to put in the chat what brought you here. So I'm assuming it's something about data, but like what is the problem that you want to talk through today? What are you hoping to get out of the conversation? What questions do you have for, oh, thanks, Jeff. What questions do you have for the group or what problems are you running into that you just can't solve right now? Um, AI agents, cool. And if you want to get off mute or raise your hand, and just speak the question that you have, totally fine. But I would love to hear from each and every one of you, like what drew you into this roundtable today, because I think that that's something that we can pull from for thanks, Kevin. I think it's
Mm.
something that we can pull from for some conversation starters. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this off actually to Jeff because it sounds like you have a question for the group. Does it have to, is it AI agents and data? Like what question do you have for everyone?
Um, so I actually posted it in the Membership Masterminds LinkedIn group because that's available.
Wait, that's a great
Um,
segue. Can I jump in there quick,
yes, you may.
Jeff, too? Okay, so one thing that we didn't mention. Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. How exciting. Um, So all of this started too as a community in LinkedIn. And so the intention was let's get an online community going. People had voted for LinkedIn. We started there. But what we found was that these virtual roundtables are what we're bringing people in and keeping them a part of the community. So if you do have questions or if you want to talk with people, you can always use the LinkedIn group. Know that it's a little quiet sometimes, but if you want to make it more active, all you have to do is jump in on it. Okay, take it away,
By
Jeff.
the way, it's quiet not because you guys are quiet. It's quiet because LinkedIn doesn't really like to support the groups for, I think they've weaned off of the group. And so they don't put it into your feed. That's why it seems to be quiet. They're not really trying to build a community platform, I think. Anyway, that's all.
But by the way, Dave, I had someone peek under the hood of LinkedIn and they said if you post something, it goes to about 10% of your network. If
Hmm.
a certain number engage, then it goes to another chunk of your network. So they purposely don't share it with everyone. So they're playing their games.
You got their
So
algorithm.
so my quick question is our association, we're a nurse practitioner association, and we administer a course for New York State. Read a PDF, take a quiz. Not extremely difficult, but somehow extremely difficult. 2,500 people a year do it with us, up to 60 a day. And we are being bombarded with stupid questions because they don't read instructions, they don't watch the video we give them. And we have a staff member turning over, and we looked at this and said, maybe we don't need to replace them. So we were looking, an AI agent, this is a small, confined group of data that it could probably learn in 10 minutes. But Betty Bot is like 11 grand, and that's just too much to spend for that. An agent for the website is difficult because our practice varies by state. And if I go to Google or ChatGPT, I get incorrect answers all the time. So I didn't know if anybody found an AI agent that was less expensive that could work. I had thought about trying to do a website integration with PropFuel, but we run it through the LMS. It's a separate website. I don't think I can place it on that other web page.
Why not?
I thought it could just be on a web page of our website. Can it be placed on another URL?
Uh, well, yeah, I don't need to get into tech support here.
Okay.
The short answer is if you have control of that website, then yes.
Okay. I'll take a look.
And talk to your CS team, the
Yeah.
client success person. They'll be able to help you with that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
Jeff, we can I'll
core
touch base with the
question.
CS team member too that's working with you so that they can help.
Okay.
Sound good?
So
Excellent.
so to summarize, you want to try to figure out a way to aggregate data like a knowledge center so that members can tap into. Did I summarize
That
that? Okay?
kind of, these people they're doing this one defined action, this one defined course, but then they have questions. How do I do this? How do I do that?
Yeah.
Even though it's right in front of them, a bot would be perfect, but 11,000 for a bot to facilitate 50,000 in coursework a year doesn't make mathematics sense. And I didn't know if anybody had found some other sort of AI agent that would that could tackle that. And I almost emailed you directly because I know you're the king of everything digital.
Who are you talking to?
You, Dave.
Me? Well, it's funny you say that because I already have an answer, but I realize I've been doing a lot of talking and I want other people to try to answer this first. So I'm still going to look for the name of it. But anybody? Anybody have a way to do that? Hmm. Okay.
We'll give it like 5 more seconds.
The
4.
silence isn't quite awkward enough, but um, I do know there's tools out there. There are tools that are free that you can train on a specific set of documentation. So I wouldn't give up the search right off the bat.
Okay.
But
I'd have to
Thanks,
yeah,
Kevin.
do
we
what Dave is doing and just search my email.
we you in theory, you if you have an LLM that you use as an organization, um, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, obviously not the free version, but if you have like a paid version that your organization has rolled out to the team, then I think my hunch, I not have not done this, but I think you create a custom GPT, and then the question becomes, how could you utilize that in the website? That would take a little more research. But in Brittany, do you remember the support bot that we used like a year and a half ago, and we ditched it
Nope.
to use um
Friend.
this tool? Yeah, so front now comes with a bot, which is basically a customer support thing too. And it's essentially the same thing. You feed it all kinds of, it's very similar to BettyBot. Now BettyBot is very specific to associations and has way more functionality and protections and so on in there. But I think there's a lot of knowledge-based tools that are fairly inexpensive. Bef in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to get the name of the one we used that I thought was decent. It was fine. It ingests all the stuff that you give it and gets all its answers specifically from those pages. And then in theory, you can just ask it a question, kind of like the way BettyBot would work.
While you are looking for that, Dave, I want to ask the group, since the whole topic of conversation at hand is around data, right? What are you collecting? How are you using it? Do you have the time to use the data that you are collecting? I threw a couple of questions in the chat. If anyone has a question, again, that they want to ask the group, I always prefer to have somebody else start the conversation because again, we want to make this relevant as possible to you all. So while I have some like seed questions and I can put more in the chat if need be, if anyone is interested in, or again, they have a problem that they're trying to solve, speak now. Don't feel like you have to hold your peace forever. And if you don't have questions, then I think what we would start with is like, how are you collecting data today and what data are you collecting? So ASE had a session a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, the week prior, on and the topic of data got brought up, right? And so I feel like there are different data points for members that we can be collecting as associations. And the question becomes like, what are we collecting? Is it the demographical data, like where people live, how old they are, what their career stage is? Is it behavioral data, how they're acting within your association, how they're engaging with you guys? Um, would love to hear from you all, like what you're collecting and then how you're getting that information. All right, so Jordana says end of year surveys went with NPS format. Jordana, do you want to speak to that? I don't know where you are.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi.
So I think the most latest thing that we're doing is we do an end of year survey. I support four different student programs, and each of them is a different membership, but this goes out to all of them, same questions and everything. We are doing it through SurveyMonkey, where we've integrated SurveyMonkey with our AMS, so we don't need to collect the demographic information for the respondents, right? Like they all get a personal like URL, so I'll know if Jordana Taylor took the survey and what their responses are. We are doing this campaign primarily because what we had done previously were like all very open-ended qualitative responses. And I think for us, switching to this NPS campaign is going to help us have a little bit more sort of concrete quantitative information to go by. Like, you know, if majority of them are like score a 8 and above in terms of their satisfaction with things, we can connect with them and continue to encourage them to use our benefits or continue to use those resources. We're also looking at those who are scoring like below a 4, and we want to reach out to them individually and just start kind of connecting with them. Like, what is it about this resource or this benefit that you don't like? What can we do to make it better? How can we make this experience better for you? And I think overall, what we're hoping to do is to take a look at all of our resources and benefits across the board and not necessarily sunset them, but to look at how we can either reorganize how our members get to them or see them, and see if we can sort of push people towards the things that the majority of our survey takers are saying are really valuable and important, and continue to engage in those things. And then for the things that people are not finding as valuable, looking at those individual programs or benefits to see like, what is it about it that might not feel engaging or valuable? How can we either reconfigure this so that way we don't have to get rid of it completely, but maybe redeliver it in a different way? Or is it just really time to get rid of this thing, right? And I think having that format for leadership at least I think it's a little bit more of a concrete way for us to say like, hey, people absolutely do not like this thing. We have to stop putting our time and effort here and redirect those efforts elsewhere.
Do you, when Jordana, when you, I think that's awesome that you connect the survey to your AMS. I don't think a lot of associations do that. Do you write data back to your AMS? Do you update titles? Do you update any information?
Yeah, we if there's anything that is different or changes, we'll use that as an opportunity to just clean up that information on our end as well. Like if someone's title changes or if we do have some open-ended questions at the end, right? And they're like, we actually, I'm not the only person who's advising this program. I have the second person. And so it helps us with a lot of data cleansing as well and just updates overall. This is our first year doing this integration. So again, I don't know if it's going to be perfect this first go around, but I think for us, the last couple of years, what we've been doing is this like massive manual data matching to be like, did Dave Will take the survey and what did Dave say and how long has Dave been a member? And I think having that information sort of integrated feels like we can answer those questions a little bit more and understand our members' behavior. Jeff, you're asking about ways to remove the bias that comes from. So we have not thoughtfully looked at how we would remove that bias. I think the way our members are structured is really interesting, right? It's because we have student programs and the school itself is the member, but the people we interact with is the advisor of that program. And so the students are the ones getting those benefits, not the person who's taking the survey. So that's also kind of an interesting caveat that we have to deal with. And so this is our first year sort of doing it this way. And we've built in a couple of guardrails, but not completely. And we're hoping that if we get what we need from this pilot, that we can then build it out and start to think through what that bias is, right? And how we're connecting that. And I think knowing who the advisors are who are taking it can help us understand what that might be. So people who've been advising a program for 8+ years versus somebody who's a brand new advisor, the way they would answer those questions will certainly differ. And we're hoping to be able to kind of use that information that we gather this year to then kind of identify what some of those things would be.
I'd be curious if anyone else here um, captures survey data and saves it to the contact records or elements of it to the contact records so that you're not losing that knowledge of those individuals. I mean, I think, and Jordan, I couldn't, maybe you said it, and forgive me if I missed it, but I, it sounds like you have you can spot check it. It doesn't sound like there's an automated way of updating member data based on the surveys that go out.
Yeah, so we're spot checking it right now. I think what we're hoping is that if this initial integration that we have between SurveyMonkey and Personify works the way we intended to, that then we can do something that is hopefully a little bit more robust where some of that information can just then automatically be updated versus us having to do this manually. We don't find that we have too many data points that we need to update on the contact record itself as a result of the survey. But every now and then there is like something a little bit different in terms of, somebody might take that survey not from the unique link that we sent to their school email, but it might be from a different email as well. So, we might add that as a secondary email for that contact in that way. So that's kind of how we're doing it right now.
How many contacts or because you said your members are the organizations, but how many individual contacts are you talking about in your overall system?
31,000, give or take.
Okay.
Now our survey response rate is not great, but we're also talking about teachers. And they're getting this around like March, April, which is like prom season and like commencement season. So it's we know that that kind of works against us in terms of that capture, but we typically by the time the survey itself closes, we'll typically get anywhere, at least in previous years, anywhere from like 35 to 40% response rate towards the end, because we give a pretty big incentive as well for them to get to do the survey. So we kind of tend to see that. And we also tell their principals to remind teachers to take these. And so that's kind of our reminders. We start this at the beginning of March and it goes to the end of June.
Is Jordana, that's an ASSP, is that right?
Yes.
Secondary school principals.
Yeah.
How many other people are doing like annual or biannual surveys? You can put it in the chat. We've got such a quiet group today. Come on, guys. What day is it? It's Wednesday. Most of you probably have Monday off. Annual. Okay. I feel like if no one talks, then I will. Take it away, Jeff. I think it's interesting because again, like what information, it's interesting to think about what information you're collecting in the annual surveys, and what you're doing with that. And so I put in the chat earlier, I think it's annual surveys are a great start if you're not doing anything else to start collecting information about your members, right? At least you're getting some feedback. I think what gets sticky is, at least in my experience with associations, like in my role, can you guys hear me? Is it just my video that's getting choppy?
No, you're good.
In previous roles, it was always we do the annual survey, right? We collect all this information. The survey gets sent out. Members start taking it. We leave it open for a month or two. So there's people who have responded within this like 30 to 60-day window. Once that closes, then we've got another month or two to collect all the data, read through all of the information that's coming through that. So now we've gone through anywhere from 2 to 4 months of this is what our members have told us, and we're still trying to figure out what to do with the information. So now by month 2 to 4, we are getting the information that the members shared with us. And then we have to put together recommendations that we then deliver to senior leadership or the board or what have you that needs to go through approval. So now members who are sharing information in that survey, there's this period of time, there's this window in which nothing is happening with that information. And the members who are telling you super important things that could actually like you potentially help them renew or encourage them to renew. There's 6 months of like silence of them telling you this is something that I'm looking for that perhaps you could actually give to them within that window of waiting between, again, collecting the information and actually like building things out for whatever came from that survey. So I'm wondering like, where are people filling that gap? Have we thought about filling that gap? Are you running into, am I the only one that maybe I'm just like making things up in my head? But
You've
again,
got my brain going, but of course we talk almost every day. So we're on the same wavelength, I think. But you got uh, the gears are grinding here. Brittany, in case people don't know, you've worked for associations. What was the last association you were at?
Emergency Nurses Association
That's
in
right.
Schaumburg.
I just wanted people to know though, like you're talking, you were in their shoes at one point.
Yeah, I feel like I can say some of these things because I've been there. Other
Brittany's
people who
super
haven't been there
involved
can't.
in ASA committees and stuff. Like she's yeah, she does a lot. Um so, so as you were talking, I was thinking about like there's all this great data. I heard Jordana say low response rate, but man, like the depth of data you're getting at the individual level is pretty awesome. But then it falls off and nothing happens with it. And for a lot of people, they do a survey and just like you
Yep.
get it. And I swear to God, I've seen this so many times. You run a survey, and I've done it. I really think surveys can be quite valuable. It's its own beast in and of itself. But then you see the survey and like in my experience, I look at them like it kind of validates some perspectives I already had. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I thought. Or it might be something that's a little surprising, like that's weird. And then you kind of explain it away. But the point is like what's more important, I think, than the bigger trends of what people are thinking is what each like what's important to each individual. And that's where it gets tough. Like, how do you act on that? And um, I'm a little hesitant to do this, but like you said, Brittany's quiet group, so I'm gonna do this.
Look what you guys have done.
Yeah, you've awoken the beast.
Jeff and Kevin will get to you in just a second. Keep your
Um,
hands up.
so I'm
Go ahead,
going
Dave.
to I'm trying to figure out how to position this. Forgive me if this comes across as selling prop fuel, because it may. Something I've been thinking, but I want your feedback on where we're going with something, and I would really love your input. So right now, we just a few weeks ago released this thing called Membership AI, where we're trying to take all this data from lots of different places
Uh-huh.
and utilize it in a way that can help organize your thoughts on what the heck I'm supposed to do with all this data, and then help you actually do it.
Mhm.
So for a long time, like you have this data, a lot of it just sits there. You're not looking at it. You think of an idea. I got to do a renewal campaign, or I got to do like I need to focus more on acquisition and stuff. And so then you focus on that. Well, we built this thing called Signals. That's just one piece of membership AI. So we built, and I'm getting to my question to you guys in a second. We built this thing called Signals, and signals are just that. Like we're looking for, well, the AI is looking for flags, data points in all that scattered data that tell you about something that you might want to act on. Like
Mhm.
here's a thing that's happening and it's actually happening to 35 people. Do you want to do something about that? Or here's like there's some negative sentiment out there scattered amongst all your data. Do you want to see like who's doing that negative sentiment, and so you can trigger an action with it? And anyway, so that's like, in fact, if you're interested, and I'm going to find the link for this, um, I'm doing a webinar on this topic on signals tomorrow. I think it's at 1 Eastern. Brittany or Alejandro, could you guys put the link for that in there? If you're interested, join me for that. And that's where I am going to sell it a little bit harder, but that's going to be like all about the concept of signals. Here's where I'm going with this. So all this data right now, we're looking at data that lives in PropFuel and the website and the AMS primarily. Like, and we're looking for signals. Like, what are the clues in here that are telling us something's happening with us with a group of members? And this is all live right now. I see some of our clients on the line. This is all live right now. Would it be cool if we took survey data, captured that at the individual level in the platform, and used that? Like, to me, I think this is cool, but I want to know if you think it's cool. Use that to strengthen the signals that we're flagging. I mean, the survey data goes so deep. My God, if we could add that to the member profile, so that when they answer a question, or so that when they don't renew, or so that when they say they're going to renew but they don't, or so that like when they've gone to an event 3 years in a row but now they're not registered for one, like all those signals. I feel like the survey data is going to strengthen what we know about people. So you're collecting all this data. How do we turn it into actionable items? Would it be valuable to connect survey data, like the annual survey data, into the more regular check-ins so that we can identify stronger signals? That was such a broad question, wasn't it?
I sort of had a similar question, which was, does it make sense to do surveys as an individual project or to include survey questions on your renewal as an optional element that people can complete as they renew annually, which then contributes to their profile?
Why
I
why
think
do you have to pick?
Well, I think my hesitation there is renewal. I'm so adamant about this, and if people disagree with me, please, please, please put it in the chat. I am a huge advocate for renewals being strictly, do you want to renew? After maybe after they pay, then do like a thanks so much for renewing. A couple of questions so we can make this next year the best one yet for you. But I think any type of the only question when you're going in for the renewal should be, would you like to renew?
That's a
And then
good
from
good
there,
point.
yeah. But I like the idea of like, again, after they renew, if they're doing it online, then you can do the questions of, hey, again, want to make this one the best year yet? What's one thing that we can do to, what's one thing we can offer you? Where is there a gap in our offerings right now that would make the biggest difference for you? Like some type of question that's going to collect data outside of, by that point, you probably, if they're getting to the renewal, you probably have the demographic data that you need to keep them to this extent, right? Meaning you have the email that they're using, you have, if you sent them an invoice, you probably have their mailing address. You've got some general information about where they're at in their career. But I think beyond demographical data, so, and sorry if get off my soapbox in a minute, but beyond the demographical data, I think what we tend to forget is that there's so much more data that you can be collecting from members that will tell you more and be way more valuable to an association than what year they graduated and what their current title is. And like if you start asking them questions about what they're interested in, what's going to help them do their job better, what is their biggest pain point right now, and you can show value in those ways, that's going to speak volumes. And that's information that you can't get from the demographic data of they've been in the field this long, they live in this general area, whatever it may be. Sorry.
Hey, Brittany, I know a
So
company that
passionate
makes
about
something
this.
that'll do that, by the way.
Why do you guys think I'm here? No, trust me, I'm a little
Be,
biased, sure, because I work for PropFuel, but like the reason I'm here is because I have such strong beliefs in having been in membership for the period of time that I was in. It's like there's this opportunity that associations have that we get so stuck in this hole. We've always done it this way. We can just use this information, and it's like the times are changing, fortunately, unfortunately, um, that we have to do a little bit more than what we've been doing
like an
historically.
onboarding for renewals.
Yeah.
We all do
Mhm.
onboarding for news, and it just occurred to me we do nothing when they renew other than wait for them to pay again. So we could just do an onboarding
Oh,
campaign, ask them what's this, next great thing we could do for you, and PropFuel will write it back to a custom field in YM so I can kind of track it. Um,
Yeah.
my survey comment was I don't ask a question on the survey unless I know what I'm going to do with the answers. I don't just ask fluff. And we did our last one, and the couple of things that I got the most out of it is not what people said was their favorite. It was that a significant portion of our membership said, "Oh, I didn't even know that existed." And that told me I wasn't doing a good enough job of telling our story. So what was missing was more valuable than what was there for the responses I got. But Dave, you were talking about the signals. Um, one thing that would be really cool if it would work. So sorry, another prop fuel commercial, but we have a onboarding campaign for students and new professionals rather than existing nurse practitioners. And remarkably, the engagement rate is significantly higher with them than it is with regular members who start new. So this is appealing to them. We have a mentorship program which is invaluable for new nurse practitioners. We were not getting new NPs to sign up. It was a trickle. That question in the onboarding campaign has a 21% engagement rate. 87% of them said, yeah, tell me more. And at least 80% of them submitted an application to get a mentor within hours of reading that information. We actually had so many mentees, we ran out of mentors. What I had tried to figure out with this signal is there a way that I could say, well, they raise their hand that they're interested, they clicked on the link, and then have it go to YM and say, did they fill out this form? And if YM could say, yes, they filled out this form, I could say, wait a minute, someone visited, didn't fill out the form, then I need to follow up with them. But I think the issue there is just connectivity with YM. There's a limit to what fields I can download, and I can't tell it, flag if this person has completed this particular form in this field. But I think that might be kind of what you're thinking of, is everything works together to make my life easier. I only follow up with people who didn't sign up.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm so like Anita said like, will this help with member engagement? And like my philosophy is most of the things that you do in membership should be focused on a specific group of people to help them get from point A to point B. And that's member engagement. So for example, like the example I gave Anita in the chat was if you've noticed, and this is very similar to the example you just gave, Jeff, but if you've noticed people have begun a certification process, like getting your CAE or something at ASAE, like they sign up for the CAE, might even paid for it. I'm not sure when you pay. I'm not a CAE, but you sign up for your CAE. Wouldn't it be helpful to check in with them at some point and see how they're doing? Because there's a lot of people that just probably go stale and they have to get 100 hours. Perhaps we could help them get that 100 hours. Maybe we check in with them if we notice that they haven't come back to take their test or to join a study group. But yeah, like there's a good reason. Help this person get from not certified to certified, and which is one step in the member journey for them, for that particular group of people. Jeff, another comment talking about new member onboarding. So I just joined I'm in the Northeast and I joined the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute 9 months ago. Um, I think it's a cool organization. I like what they do. But I joined, and I even, because I'm in the industry, sent them a note just saying, hey, I'd love to hear like what's your new member onboarding process like? Like what is there something, is an opportunity for new members to get involved? I get no response. And all I get from them are postcards promoting something they're doing. They have no interest in me or my interests. Uh, I don't know if what's the association for old people when you turn 50? What is it, Laura?
That's us. Come on.
AARP.
AARP. So I joined AARP when I turned 50. Why? Because it looked like a cool tote bag and it is $12. So I joined AARP. I couldn't unsubscribe and demember myself fast enough because they have no idea what I'm interested in. I'm interested in kiteboarding, ultra running, and I want to sail around the world. I don't want to toss up my grandchild into the air. I don't have grandchildren yet, but the newsletter, the magazine I got just had old people on the cover. We're not old people. Anyway, I'm rambling and ranting now. The point is, they didn't know me.
Yeah.
And that's why I disrenewed, or I disengaged with AARP, and I'm probably not going to renew it with Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. They don't know me. They have no interest in me, and they're not serving me. And I haven't put the effort in to try to find a reason to stay. So the question is for you guys, you've got all this data. I'm keen on this word signals right now. People are sending you signals, whether it's emails or what they're clicking on or what web pages they're going to. They're sending you signals. And that's what I want to help you guys act on is signals people are sending you so that you can show them that you know them and you're interested in them.
So I was gonna comment on that, Dave. The difference between actioning aggregate data, so like as Jordana was saying, you get these results, and then you have to punt them up the chain of command, so you get budget and approvals, and you get things done, or kind of like what think of as sticking my head in the water. So just looking at the data and actioning individual things that pop out. Like I just love looking at data because you look at it and you start to see those things like, hey, Dave wrote in a question about what he's really interested in and nobody's responded. I'm sitting here with time in my hands. I'm going to respond. And that might just make a difference in one little area. Or somebody else discovered there's a problem with our application or renewal process or flow or whatever. And again, as an action person, you just take action and you make a big impact across the board. So, there's two different outcomes from that data. One is the distill it upwards, make strategic and tactical movements that require budget and approvals. And the other one is just looking and doing.
And sometimes those revelations, you have like a, oh, crud moment. We noticed, so our renewal process through PropFuel is before we even start the renewal, like 90 days before before they're going to expire, I ask them, how likely are you to renew? If they give me a low score, then I follow up with them with email saying, you know, what did I do wrong? If they score us really high, I tell them about the member referral program so they can refer their friends and save money when they renew. But we were asking them to renew maybe 60 days before renewal, and people were clicking on, oh, I want to renew, and nobody was doing it. And all of a sudden, we realized we didn't remind them that if they renew today, their deadline or their expiration date is extended by a year. We didn't make that clear. So they might be thinking, I renew early, I lose a month or two of membership, which isn't the case. And you'd think it was really obvious. So now we literally put in there, hey, if you renew early, you still get a full extra year tacked on your expiration date. But that was a little piece of data that took a little bit of why aren't people doing anything with this, realizing they're not psychic, and that might make a difference.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Dave, I'm going to cut you off quick because
Yeah.
there's a question in the chat.
Oh,
Does anyone use incentives for data collection? So is anyone doing like gift cards, raffles, discounts in order to encourage members to participate in the surveys or give up some data?
We did. I can't remember the denominations of the gift card, which is why I didn't reply in the chat. But
That's okay.
it may have been 50 or 100, and we did like 5 of them maybe for our annual survey.
Yeah, so that was my question. We've done it. Doesn't seem to move the needle at all. Like, we're just struggling in general to collect data. So like right now, and I'm not in charge of like surveys and stuff. I was in charge of resignation surveys as a membership director for my organization. And that's what we were trying to do is collect specifically for resignation surveys. We would have 600 people, terminate their membership throughout the year, and we'd get 4 people respond to the survey. And this is with like, it's the easiest $250 gift card you will ever win because you're one of 4. When I do the raffle, it's just like I put it in my hat.
do you have to be
So
a roofing contractor? I want to sign up.
right, so we're moving away from having them take a survey and um, I'm not going to continue the PropFuel commercial, but we're using a PropFuel direct instead of sending them to a survey, just a PropFuel aware to customers. But we don't like to mess around with like dues discounts generally. So that's. But I'm just curious, and again, I'm in a trade organization, so it might be a little different. But yeah, if anybody else used anything and if it moved the needle at all, because it doesn't seem to be for us. We've used it for other. We have an incentive for early renewal. Doesn't seem to do much to get folks to renew early. But it's more like that's more like a discount or free products from the bookstore.
We did this, I mean, similar. It wasn't a raffle, I forget the name of the service. Brittany, you might remember, but we basically said anybody that does this thing, I can't remember what it was in particular. Anybody that does this thing that we're asking you to do, we'll give you a $5 Starbucks card. So basically, we're going to buy you a cup of coffee. Um, and then, of course, any denomination would work, but that way everybody gets something. And there's services that you can sign up for that make it near, well, totally automated. Let's put it that way, which I prefer over actually having to send somebody a gift card, especially if you're going to do it with everybody. Okay, so I have a question for the group, which I would love to hear. You got data everywhere. Your AMS, I'm just going to list off the ones that come to the top of my head. There, you got your AMS data, you have your Google Analytics and website data. That might be two different things. You got prop fuel data if you're asking questions. You got marketing automation, insight, opens, clicks, different levels of engagement. You've got your, did I say AMS? All your AMS data, your registration data for events, maybe your survey data, your LMS data. Okay, there's probably more, but that's data from lots of different places. My guess is in membership, you're utilizing primarily your AMS data. And then maybe specific projects might use like an event data for engagement or something else. Where of all those things, or maybe something else, what data, and this is selfish because I want to take your answer and incorporate it into what we're building, but what data of all those things, or again, something else, would be most valuable to incorporate into this thing we're calling signals to give you insight on? What would you like to tap into that would give you more insight? I can tell you what I've been hearing. Oh, community data, right. Um, yeah, what are people talking about? See, here's my challenge. I don't want to, you're not wrong, Jeff. I don't mean to shoot you down, but like what percentage of your membership is actually involved in the community? I wonder. Do you know offhand?
Not a lot. Well, active involved in it, single digit.
Yeah,
I
that's what
actually, I actually went back and said and thought to myself, is anybody actually reading these or looking at the journal? And I went back and looked at their journal open rates, and it's incredibly high. I surveyed my leadership, and all of them are like, "Oh yeah, I read them. I just don't do anything with them."
Oh, so there's lurkers.
So
Yeah.
yeah, everybody's lurking. Nobody's doing.
So it'd be cool to
Uh,
see what they're lurking. And you could do that. That data exists. What are they clicking on inside the community? That's relevant information.
except they're not clicking because they can read the digest, see the question, see an answer, and not have to click through. What I
Oh,
think would be interesting is we have a monthly newsletter that has a 65% open rate and a double-digit click-through rate. And it goes through higher logic and forms, but that's integrated with YM. Could something tell us, hey, this is what this person is clicking on in the newsletter? So everything clicks together, and I say, well, wait a minute, my person who's been working 5 years is clicking on recertification information, and they click the box in my prop fuel about recertification. Maybe I need to talk to them about recertification. We only find that now if we dig.
hmm. I've been asking people that question in one-on-one conversations. What I'm hearing a lot of is LMS data. In other words, what are people learning about? Um, and event data. Personally, I'm I'm curious how the survey data would help us know more engagement opportunities that we could tell you about.
So I have a struggle that I think the majority of our members' participation is on the chapter level, and we don't necessarily have access to that. So events on the chapter level, speaking opportunities, sponsorship, that kind of stuff. And I mean, we're working on implementing a chapter platform and everything, so that will probably get somewhat better. But um, I was we don't have like an engagement dashboard, so I was messing around with AI trying to drop in, like our higher logic data and our um, webinar, like who comes to webinars, who comes to
Mm.
whatever. And not, I did not find the results I was expecting. Like, I think we have 11,000 members, and the majority of them are not doing stuff on the like national level that I could tell from, my not so accurate AI like research that I was trying to do. Um, so I think that, we have a small group of really, really engaged people that come to our conference that are on, they're very active in the forums and stuff like that. But we're just not accessing the rest of the members that are participating, but we can't get that information.
That sounds like a signal. Like I'm stuck on this concept of signals, and signals, of course, being the things that we wish we could see, but we don't know how to get it. Like, because it's in the data. It's in there. Some like what you just described, Laura. It's in there, man. Like it's there. You just can't see it. And to me, if there, that's what AI is so good at, is combing through hordes of data and actually telling you something.
But we don't have it because the chapters operate independently.
Oh, I missed that. I'm
Or
sorry.
sort of independently. We're trying
Yeah.
to get them to, work on um, glue
Yeah.
up or whatever. I don't really know too much about it because I don't do chapters,
Oh, yeah.
um, but like we just don't have that data like access. So
Yeah, I get that. I belong to Entrepreneurs Organization and I'm on the board for our chapter. It's the same thing. Like our chapter does everything. EO Global doesn't know what we're doing.
which also says to me, I need to take a harder look at what we're offering and figure out how to make that more valuable. But I mean, people are going to face to face engage, better.
Hmm.
Um,
Before we go to, it is that time of the call to ask what people want to talk about next month. So if you have some thoughts or ideas, drop it in the chat. Preferably something that will excite you enough to
To come up with
chat.
a topic, think about what are you working on really hard right now that you're struggling to solve? What's a problem you're trying to
Yes.
figure out in your organization, in your job that you're struggling to solve?
I do think, Laura, that your challenge is common. The chapters feeding data up to a national level, and there are solutions to deliberately get them to pass data to you that you can use, so long as there's some kind of an agreement in principle on what you're going to do with it, and so on. But it's very common in your association model to have that opportunity or that challenge. So there's a challenge for you for next week, maybe next month, Brittany. The chapter versus national federated model of data sharing or membership engagement connection.
That's a heavy one, it feels like.
I mean, we have regions in New York State, and if you join the state, you're automatically a member of the region. And my whole staff of four takes care of all the regional events, even though they're theoretically separate 501(c)s. But so we have visibility to all of it. We have all the tracking. But then there's the nightmare of some regions are strong, some are cliquey, some can't get volunteers for leadership. So that whole, the regional or local group could kill you. It can go both ways. I belonged to the Association of Fundraising Professionals for a decade, and my local group was invaluable. The national one, I would go to the conference every few years, and I didn't see a whole lot of value, but I was always going to renew. But if my local group fell apart, I wouldn't be renewing nationally, and they had no connectivity between them.
We had a similar problem or similar thing here. I'm a member of CSAE, Canadian Society, and we had a local chapter that during COVID was dissolved and amalgamated into national, and that caused a lot of angst in the local area. But they had to make a decision on a corporate level for the survival of the organization to kind of move things around. But it's another angle of that.
All right, everyone, we've got probably 90 seconds left at this point. Thank you all for joining us. Hope there were some good takeaways here. Thank you all for participating. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. There's also the LinkedIn group. Um, Kevin and Jeff, you guys can start a podcast. Just have me on as a guest if you don't mind. Thank you all. We will see you next month. All right, hopping off. Bye, team.